The camera flash hit my face like a spotlight, and in that moment, I knew I had crossed a line I could never uncross. But let me back up to how this all started, how a simple family photo shoot became the evidence that destroyed my entire life. My name is Thyra Elowen, and 3 months ago, I thought I was the smartest woman in the room. I had it all figured out: a stable marriage to Malcolm, my insurance adjuster husband, a beautiful 7-year-old daughter Maya, and a respectable job managing outreach for a local non-profit. But stability felt like suffocation, and respectability felt like a cage. That's when Ronan Vale walked back into my life. Ronan was everything Malcolm wasn't: spontaneous, charming, with the kind of dangerous smile that made sensible women do stupid things. We'd dated years before Malcolm, and when he slid into my DMs with that familiar confidence, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: desired. "You look incredible in your profile pics," his first message read. Still breaking hearts. I should have deleted it. Instead, I found myself typing back. The affair started slowly. Coffee meetings that ran long, text conversations that grew intimate, stolen hours when Malcolm was working late on his fraud cases. Ronan was a freelance model, an influencer, always ready with compliments and grand gestures. He made me feel young again, alive again. But feeling alive in secret wasn't enough anymore. I wanted the world to see what I could have, what I deserved. That's when I got the idea for the photo shoot. "We should do family portraits," I announced to Malcolm over dinner one evening in early October. "Maya's growing so fast, and we haven't had professional photos done in years." Malcolm looked up from his case files, his methodical mind already processing. "That sounds nice. When were you thinking?" "I already booked us at Studio One Photography for next Saturday. The photographer, Greta Miles, comes highly recommended." What I didn't tell him was that I'd also invited Ronan. In my mind, it was perfect. I'd get a few shots with my real family, then surprise everyone with some fun photos featuring my ex. Just a few artistic shots to show off online, to make people wonder, to make them see that Thyra Elowen had options. The morning of the shoot, I spent 2 hours getting ready. Perfect makeup, a flowing dress that photographed beautifully, hair styled in loose waves. Maya was excited, chattering about being a model for the day. Malcolm wore his usual reserved expression, but he'd dressed nicely, a crisp button-down and dark slacks. "You look beautiful," he said quietly, as we loaded into the car. There was something in his voice I couldn't identify then. Looking back, I think it was sadness. Studio One Photography occupied a converted warehouse downtown, all exposed brick and dramatic lighting setups. Greta Miles met us at the door, a professional woman in her 40s, with keen eyes and an efficient manner. "The Elowen family, right on time," she said, checking her tablet. "I have you down for a family session, immediate family only per your contract." "That's right," Malcolm said, but I was already texting Ronan. "We're here. Come in 10 minutes. The first part of the session went normally. Greta positioned us in various poses, Malcolm's hand on my shoulder, Maya between us, the three of us laughing at her jokes. The camera clicked steadily, capturing what looked like a happy family. Then Ronan arrived. He walked in like he owned the place, all confident swagger and practiced charm. At 35, he'd maintained the lean build and easy smile that had first caught my attention years ago. He wore a perfectly fitted black shirt and jeans, looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine. "Sorry I'm late," he announced to the room. "Traffic was insane." I watched Malcolm's face carefully. His expression didn't change, but I saw his jaw tighten almost imperceptibly. "Ronan," I said brightly, as if his appearance was a delightful surprise. "Everyone, this is Ronan Vale, an old friend. He's a professional model. I thought it might be fun to get a few artistic shots with him too." Greta frowned, checking her contract again. "Mrs. Elowen, your booking specifically states immediate family only. I can't include additional subjects without rebooking and additional fees." Oh, come on, I laughed, waving dismissively. It's just a few extra shots. We'll make it worth your while. Malcolm stepped forward. Thyra, what's going on here? Nothing dramatic, I said, already moving toward Ronan. Just some fun photos. You know how boring our usual pictures are. The word boring hit Malcolm like a slap. I saw him flinch, then step back. Maya looked confused, clinging to her father's leg. Mummy, who is that man? She whispered. Just a friend, sweetheart. Why don't you and Daddy sit over there while we take a few quick pictures? I pulled out $800 in cash, money I'd withdrawn from our joint account the day before, and handed it to Greta. This should cover the extra shots in your discretion. Greta looked uncomfortable but pocketed the money. I suppose we can do a few additional frames. What happened next was 22 minutes of pure selfishness that would haunt me forever. I posed with Ronan like we were the couple, like we were the family, his arms around my waist, his lips near my ear, recreating the intimate poses Malcolm and I had just finished. This is what it should have been, I whispered to Ronan during one particularly close embrace, loud enough for the studio microphones to catch. Malcolm sat in a chair against the wall, holding Maya's hand, watching his wife pretend to love another man. His face was stone, but I caught him checking his watch repeatedly. When Greta's assistant whispered, "This isn't allowed, right?" Malcolm simply stood up. "We're leaving," he said quietly. "Oh, don't be such a baby," I called out, not breaking pose. "We're almost done." But when I looked up, Malcolm and Maya were gone. The studio door had closed behind them with barely a sound. "Guess it's just us," Ronan said with a grin, pulling me closer for another shot. I should have felt victorious. Instead, something cold settled in my stomach. The photos were perfect. Absolutely perfect. I spent Sunday morning editing them obsessively, selecting the most stunning shots of Ronan and me together. His hand on my face, both of us laughing. The kind of intimate moments that screamed couple goals to anyone scrolling through social media. Malcolm had barely spoken to me since we got home Saturday night. He'd slept in the guest room, claiming he needed to review case files. Maya kept asking why the picture man had been there and why Daddy looked sad. "Daddy's just tired from work," I told her, but even at 7, she seemed to sense the tension crackling through our house. By noon Sunday, I couldn't wait any longer. I uploaded 5 photos to Instagram, Facebook, and my personal social media accounts. The caption read, "Sometimes life surprises you with exactly what you need." Our new chapter, our blessed my family. The last hashtag was deliberate. I tagged Ronan in every photo, making sure his name appeared next to mine in the digital space where everyone could see. The response was immediate and explosive. Within an hour, I had dozens of comments ranging from confused to supportive to absolutely scandalized. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications. "Girl, yes, you deserve happiness," wrote my friend Jessica. "Wait, who is this? Where's Malcolm?" Posted my neighbor Sandra. "This is disgusting. Think about your daughter," came from someone I barely knew. But the attention was intoxicating. For years I'd posted mundane family photos that got polite likes from the same 20 people. Now my phone was on fire with engagement. People were sharing the photos, debating in comment threads, sending private messages demanding details. I was finally interesting. Monday morning brought a text from my mother, Sienna. "Honey, people are calling me about your photos. What's going on?" I ignored it. I also ignored the 17 missed calls from Malcolm's mother, Rosa, and the increasingly concerned messages from my sister-in-law. At work, my colleague Beth cornered me in the break room. "Thyra, everyone's talking about your Instagram. Are you and Malcolm okay?" "We're evolving," I said mysteriously, enjoying the drama. Sometimes marriages need to change to survive. What I didn't know was that while I was basking in social media attention, Malcolm was methodically building a case against me. Tuesday evening, I came home to find him sitting at our kitchen table with a laptop, a stack of papers, and that eerily calm expression he wore when reviewing insurance fraud. We need to talk, he said. If this is about the photos, it's about the $800 you withdrew from our joint account without discussion. It's about violating the photography contract by bringing an unauthorized person to a family session. It's about posting photos of our daughter with your affair partner and tagging him as family. My blood went cold. Affair partner? Malcolm, don't be ridiculous. He slid a printed screenshot across the table. It was a photo of Ronan and me from 2 weeks ago, taken at a coffee shop downtown. We were holding hands across the table, looking at each other with obvious intimacy. This was posted on his Instagram story, Malcolm said quietly. The metadata shows it was taken at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, when you told me you were at a work meeting. I stared at the photo, my mind racing. How had he found this? I do insurance fraud investigation for a living, Thyra. I know how to follow digital breadcrumbs. I know how to trace financial transactions. I know how to document evidence. He opened a folder and spread out more papers. Bank statements showing the cash withdrawal. The photography studio contract, highlighting the immediate family-only clause. Screenshots of my social media posts with timestamps and engagement metrics. Malcolm, you're being paranoid. Am I? He clicked something on his laptop, and suddenly, my own voice filled the kitchen. This is what it should have been. The audio was crystal clear, time-stamped, and devastating. I heard myself whispering to Ronan during the photoshoot, heard the longing in my voice, heard the dismissal of everything Malcolm and I had built together. The studio's recording system captured everything, Malcolm said. 22 minutes of you replacing your husband with your boyfriend while our daughter watched. I felt the walls closing in, but I wasn't ready to surrender. You're making this sound worse than it is. It was just photos, Malcolm. Just some fun, artistic shots. Fun? His voice cracked slightly, the first emotion he'd shown. You brought your affair partner to our family photo shoot. You made our daughter watch while you posed with another man. You posted those photos online and tagged him as your family. I never said he was. The hashtag was my family, Thyra, on photos of you and him. What exactly did you think people would assume? I had no answer for that. Malcolm closed the laptop and gathered his papers. I've changed the passwords on our joint accounts. I've spoken to a lawyer. And I've filed for emergency custody of Maya. You what? I shot to my feet. Malcolm, you can't be serious. You introduced our daughter to your affair partner without my knowledge or consent. You've shown complete disregard for her emotional well-being and our family's stability. Any family court judge will see this as parental alienation. This is insane. You're overreacting to a few photos. But Malcolm was already walking away, leaving me alone in the kitchen with the echo of my own voice. This is what it should have been. Wednesday morning brought a notification that made my stomach drop. An unknown number had sent me a video file with the message, "Studio security footage. Thought you should see this before others do." I opened the file with trembling fingers. It was surveillance footage from Studio One Photography, showing the entire session from a wide angle. I watched myself direct Ronan into intimate poses, watched him kiss my cheek while I laughed, watched me tell Maya to go sit with Daddy when she tried to join us. But the most damning part was Malcolm's face. The camera had captured his reflection in the studio's glass partition, and his expression was heartbreaking, not angry, just profoundly sad, like he was watching something precious die in real time. The video was 22 minutes long, 22 minutes of documented betrayal, time-stamped and legally admissible. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Mrs. Elowen, this is Greta Miles from Studio One Photography. We need to discuss a breach of contract issue. Can you come in today?" Studio One Photography felt different when I returned Thursday afternoon. The warm, creative atmosphere had been replaced by something clinical and unwelcoming. Greta Miles met me in her back office, her professional demeanor notably cooler than during our session. "Mrs. Elowen, thank you for coming in." She gestured to a chair across from her desk, which was covered with papers, printed photos and what looked like legal documents. We have several issues to discuss. If this is about payment, it's about contract violation, unauthorized recording subjects, and potential liability. Greta's voice was crisp and businesslike. Your booking agreement clearly specified immediate family only. By bringing Mr. Vale without prior arrangement and having him participate in intimate poses with your minor daughter present, you've created legal exposure for my business. She slid a copy of the contract across the desk. There it was in black and white. Session limited to immediate family members, as defined by legal relationship. Additional subjects require separate booking and liability waivers. I paid you extra, I protested. You took the money. Under duress and false pretenses, you presented the situation as a spontaneous addition, not a planned deception. My business operates in the wedding and family industry. Reputation is everything. When word gets out that I facilitated what appears to be a spouse replacement session, it damages my professional standing. Greta opened a folder and pulled out a stack of printed social media screenshots. My Instagram posts, Facebook uploads, even shares and comments from friends and family. She'd documented everything. These posts, combined with the session footage, create a narrative that my studio was complicit in documenting an extramarital affair. Several of my upcoming clients have already called with concerns after seeing your photos circulating online. That's not my problem. Actually, it is, because your husband's attorney has subpoenaed all session materials as evidence in divorce and custody proceedings. My blood went cold. What materials? Everything. The original photos, the audio recordings, the security footage, the contract, the payment records, all of it. Greta leaned back in her chair. Mrs. Elowen, I've been in this business for 15 years. I've seen custody battles get ugly. This level of documented evidence rarely favors the spouse who orchestrated the deception. She pulled out another document, a legal subpoena bearing Malcolm's attorney's letterhead. Your husband works in insurance fraud investigation, correct? He knows exactly what kind of evidence holds up in court. Financial records, digital metadata, time-stamped recordings, witness testimony. He's building an airtight case. Witness testimony? My assistant was present during the entire session. She documented her concerns about the appropriateness of the situation in real time. She'll be required to testify if this goes to trial. I felt like the walls were closing in. Greta, surely we can work something out. I never meant for this to become such a big deal. The time for working things out was before you violated our contract and used my business to document your affair. She stood up, clearly ending the meeting. I recommend you contact an attorney immediately. This situation is far beyond anything I can help you resolve. Walking out of the studio, I felt truly panicked for the first time. I called Ronan immediately. Hey, beautiful, he answered with his usual casual charm. How's my favorite model? Ronan, we have a problem. Malcolm is filing for divorce and custody. He has evidence, photos, recordings, everything. The line went quiet for a long moment. What kind of evidence? Everything from the photo shoot, audio of us talking, security footage, financial records. He's treating this like a fraud investigation. Shit. Ronan's voice had lost its playful tone. Thyra, this is getting really heavy. I thought we were just having fun. Fun? I left my marriage for you. Whoa, hold up. I never asked you to leave your marriage. We were just enjoying each other's company. I never promised you anything serious. The words hit me like a physical blow. But the photos, the things you said. I say a lot of things, babe. I thought you understood this was casual. Casual? I destroyed my family for you. That was your choice, not mine. Look, I care about you, but I'm not ready to be anyone's stepfather or get dragged into some messy divorce. Maybe we should cool things off until this blows over. The line went dead. He'd hung up on me. I sat in my car outside the photography studio, finally understanding the magnitude of my situation. I'd traded a stable marriage and family for a man who wouldn't even take my calls when things got complicated. That evening, I tried to do damage control. I called my mother, my sister, my closest friends, trying to spin the narrative in my favor. Malcolm is being controlling and vindictive, I told anyone who would listen. He can't handle that I'm finally happy, so he's trying to punish me through the legal system. But the responses weren't what I expected. Honey, my mother said carefully, bringing another man to your family photo shoot and posting those pictures online, that doesn't look like happiness. It looks like cruelty. My sister was more direct. Thyra, you humiliated Malcolm in public. What did you think would happen? Even my closest friend Jessica, who'd initially supported me online, was having second thoughts. I saw the studio footage someone posted in the neighborhood Facebook group, watching Malcolm's face while you posed with that other guy. It was heartbreaking, and Maya looked so confused. Someone posted the footage online. It's everywhere. The mum groups are talking about it. People at work are sharing it. Everyone's seen it by now. I hung up and immediately checked social media. The studio security footage had indeed gone viral in our local community groups. The comments were brutal. This is the most selfish thing I've ever seen a mother do. That poor little girl watching her mum replace her dad. Malcolm Elowen deserves so much better than this. How do you do this to your own family? My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Thyra Elowen, this is regarding legal service. Please confirm your current address. My hands were shaking as I typed back, who is this? Process server, we have documents for you regarding Elowen versus Elowen custody case. Will you be at 847 Pine Street tomorrow at 3 p.m.? I realized they were asking about Maya's school pickup time. They were going to serve me legal papers in front of all the other parents. Can we arrange a different time and location? No, ma'am. Service will occur at your confirmed location tomorrow at 3 p.m. I spent Thursday night staring at the ceiling, finally understanding that my perfect plan had become a perfect disaster. I'd wanted attention, validation, and excitement. Instead, I'd created legal evidence of my own betrayal and given Malcolm everything he needed to destroy me in court. The worst part was that I had no one left to blame but myself. Friday afternoon at Lincoln Elementary felt like walking into an execution chamber. The school pickup line was always a social minefield, 30 cars full of parents who had nothing better to do than gossip about each other's lives. Today, I was the main attraction. I could feel eyes on me as I pulled into the usual spot. Phone cameras discreetly angled in my direction. Conversations that stopped mid-sentence when I walked by. The studio footage had made me locally famous for all the wrong reasons. Maya's teacher, Mrs. Henderson, gave me a concerned look when she brought my daughter out. Mrs. Elowen, Maya seems a bit unsettled this week. Has there been any stress at home? Everything's fine, I lied, taking Maya's hand. Just some minor family adjustments. But everything wasn't fine, and it was about to get much worse. As I was buckling Maya into her car seat, I heard footsteps approaching on the asphalt. A man in a dark suit was walking directly toward my car, with a manila envelope in his hand. Thyra Elowen? Every parent in the pickup line turned to stare. Conversation stopped completely. Someone's phone was definitely recording. Yes? You've been served. He handed me the envelope with professional efficiency. Family court case number 2024 FC 8847. You have 10 days to respond. The envelope felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Around me, I could hear whispered conversation starting up. Is that divorce papers? In front of the school? That poor little girl. Did you see the studio video? I got into my car with as much dignity as I could muster, but my hands were shaking so badly I could barely start the engine. Maya was asking questions I couldn't answer, and my phone was already buzzing with texts from people who'd witnessed the service. At home, I opened the envelope, with Maya watching cartoons in the next room. The documents were extensive and devastating. emergency motion for temporary custody and parenting time restrictions, petition for dissolution of marriage with grounds of irreconcilable differences, motion to freeze joint assets, pending financial discovery, request for supervised visitation due to parental alienation concerns. Malcolm's attorney had been thorough. The filing included printed screenshots of all my social media posts, bank records showing the cash withdrawal, the complete audio transcript from the studio session, and witness statements from the photographer and her assistant. But the most damaging section was titled, Evidence of Parental Alienation and Child Endangerment. Respondent deliberately exposed minor child to extramarital relationship by including affair partner in family activities without notice or consent from petitioner. Respondent posted photographs of minor child with affair partner on public social media platforms, identifying said partner as family and creating confusion about child's family structure. Respondent demonstrated willful disregard for child's emotional well-being by conducting intimate photoshoot with affair partner while child was present and observing. They had everything. Every stupid decision I'd made was documented, time-stamped, and presented as evidence of my unfitness as a mother. The court date was set for the following Wednesday, just 5 days away. I called 3 different attorneys that afternoon. The first 2 declined to take my case after reviewing the evidence. The third, a tired-looking man named Robert Chen, agreed to meet with me but wasn't optimistic. Mrs. Elowen, I'll be honest with you, this is not a strong position. Your husband has documented evidence of infidelity, financial deception, contract violations, and what appears to be deliberate introduction of your affair partner to your minor child. Family court judges take these things very seriously. But I'm her mother. Doesn't that count for something? Of course it does. But the court's primary concern is the child's best interests, not parental rights. When you brought your boyfriend to a family photo shoot and posted those images publicly, you created a narrative that you prioritized your personal desires over your daughter's emotional stability. Chen spread the documents across his desk. Your husband works in fraud investigation, correct? He's approached this like a professional case. Financial records, digital evidence, witness testimony, audio recordings. It's all admissible and it all supports his claims. So what can we do? Damage control. We can argue that this was an isolated incident of poor judgment, not a pattern of harmful behavior. We can request family counseling instead of supervised visitation. We can try to negotiate a settlement that avoids a full trial. What about my rights? What about the fact that he's trying to steal my daughter? Chen looked at me with barely concealed frustration. Mrs. Elowen, your husband isn't trying to steal anything. He's trying to protect his daughter from further emotional trauma. From the court's perspective, you've already demonstrated that you'll prioritize your romantic relationships over your child's well-being. That weekend was the longest of my life. Malcolm had taken Maya to his mother's house, leaving me alone with the wreckage of my choices. I tried calling Ronan repeatedly, but he'd blocked my number. My social media accounts were flooded with negative comments. Even my own mother was asking hard questions I couldn't answer. Sunday evening, Malcolm came by to pick up more of Maya's clothes. We stood in our daughter's room, surrounded by her stuffed animals and artwork, while he packed a suitcase. Malcolm, please. Can't we work this out? Go to counseling or something. He didn't look at me. You brought your boyfriend to our family photo shoot, Thyra. You made our daughter watch while you posed with him like he was her new father. You posted those photos online for everyone to see. I made a mistake. No. He finally looked up, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before, complete emotional detachment. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. What you did was calculated and cruel. You planned it, executed it, and then celebrated it online. But I love you. You love the security I provide. You love having someone to fall back on when your adventures don't work out. But you don't love me, Thyra. If you did, you never could have done what you did. He zipped up Maya's suitcase and headed for the door. What am I supposed to tell people? I called after him. Malcolm paused in the doorway. Tell them the truth. Tell them you chose a photo shoot with your boyfriend over your marriage and your daughter. Tell them you valued social media attention more than your family's dignity. And what about Maya? What are you going to tell her? I'm going to tell her that sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they love, and that it's not her fault, and she's safe, and she'll always have a home with me. He left without another word, and I was alone in our daughter's empty room, finally understanding that I'd lost everything that actually mattered. The court hearing was in 3 days, and I had no idea how to defend the indefensible. Family Court Annex, Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. The building was sterile and intimidating, designed to make people feel small and powerless. I sat in the hallway outside courtroom 3B with my attorney, Robert Chen, watching Malcolm and his legal team review their evidence binders one final time. Malcolm looked calm and professional in his dark suit, every inch the methodical insurance investigator. His attorney, Sarah Morrison, was a family law specialist with a reputation for thorough preparation and courtroom precision. They had 3 thick folders of evidence and a laptop loaded with digital files. I had a desperate hope that the judge would see reason. Remember, Chen whispered to me as we were called in, answer only what's asked, don't volunteer information, and whatever you do, don't try to justify the photo shoot. Just acknowledge it was poor judgment and move on. Judge Patricia Williams was a stern-looking woman in her 50s who'd been handling family court cases for over 20 years. She'd seen every kind of custody dispute imaginable, and her expression suggested she had little patience for drama. This is an emergency hearing for temporary custody in the matter of Elowen versus Elowen, she announced. I've reviewed the initial filings. This case involves allegations of adultery, parental alienation, and child endangerment. Mr. Morrison, you may present your evidence. Malcolm's attorney stood with military precision. Your Honor, we have extensive documentation showing that Mrs. Elowen deliberately exposed the minor child to her extramarital relationship, violated contractual agreements to facilitate this exposure, and then publicized the results on social media platforms. She clicked open her laptop, and suddenly, the courtroom's large monitor displayed the studio security footage. There I was in high definition, posing intimately with Ronan, while Malcolm sat in the background holding Maya's hand. This footage shows a 22-minute sequence where Mrs. Elowen replaced her husband with her affair partner during a scheduled family photo shoot. The minor child was present and observing throughout. The judge watched silently as the video played. I saw myself directing Ronan into increasingly intimate poses, laughing as he kissed my cheek, whispering in his ear, while Maya looked confused in the background. Your Honor, we also have audio evidence. Morrison clicked another file, and my voice filled the courtroom. This is what it should have been. Judge Williams paused the playback. Mrs. Elowen, what exactly did you mean by that statement? I felt every eye in the courtroom on me. Chen had warned me this moment would come, but I still wasn't prepared for it. I meant the photos looked good, artistic. You meant the photos with your boyfriend looked better than the photos with your husband? The question hung in the air like a blade. I didn't mean it that way. How did you mean it, Mrs. Elowen? I looked at Chen, but he couldn't help me. I was just caught up in the moment. Judge Williams made a note. Continue, Ms. Morrison. Your Honor, we have financial evidence showing Mrs. Elowen withdrew $800 from the family's joint account without her husband's knowledge to pay her affair partner's modeling fee for this session. The bank records appeared on screen, including the ATM photo of me withdrawing the cash and the deposit slip showing payment to Ronan's account. We have the photography contract. which clearly specifies immediate family only, demonstrating Mrs. Elowen's deliberate deception. We have social media posts where Mrs. Elowen tagged her affair partner as family and shared photos of him with the minor child. And we have a witness statement from the photographer's assistant expressing concerns about the appropriateness of the session while it was occurring. Each piece of evidence was methodically presented, creating an overwhelming picture of calculated betrayal. I watched the judge's expression grow increasingly stern. Finally, Your Honor, we have metadata analysis showing that Mrs. Elowen's affair partner visited the family home on 4 separate occasions when Mr. Elowen was traveling for work, directly contradicting Mrs. Elowen's stated whereabouts during those times. I felt sick. They'd traced everything, every lie, every deception, every moment I thought I was being clever. Mr. Chen, does your client wish to respond to this evidence? My attorney stood reluctantly. Your Honor, Mrs. Elowen acknowledges that she exercised poor judgment during a difficult period in her marriage. However, this was an isolated incident, not a pattern of harmful behavior toward the child. An isolated incident? Judge Williams looked at the evidence timeline displayed on screen. Mr. Chen, this shows a 4-month affair, financial deception, contractual fraud, and deliberate exposure of a minor child to an inappropriate situation. That's not an isolated incident. That's a pattern of prioritizing personal desires over family stability. Chen tried to recover. Your Honor, Mrs. Elowen is willing to attend counseling and agrees to supervised visitation while the family works through these issues. Mrs. Elowen, the judge addressed me directly, do you understand why your actions might be concerning from a child welfare perspective? This was my chance to show remorse, to demonstrate that I understood the gravity of my choices. Instead, I felt defensive anger rising. Your Honor, I made some mistakes, but I'm still Maya's mother. Malcolm is trying to punish me for being unhappy in our marriage. He's using the legal system to get revenge. The judge's expression hardened. Mrs. Elowen, this isn't about your marital happiness. This is about your decision to involve your 7-year-old daughter in your extramarital affair. You brought your boyfriend to a family event, had intimate photos taken with him in front of your child, and then published those photos online. What message do you think that sent to your daughter about family stability and loyalty? I had no good answer. Furthermore, your financial deception and contract violations demonstrate a pattern of dishonesty that raises serious questions about your judgment and trustworthiness. Judge Williams reviewed her notes. Based on the evidence presented, I'm granting temporary primary custody to Mr. Elowen. Mrs. Elowen will have supervised visitation every other weekend at the County Family Services Centre. Both parents are ordered to attend co-parenting counselling. Additionally, Mrs. Elowen is prohibited from posting any images or information about the minor child on social media platforms, and from introducing the child to any romantic partners without court approval and a minimum 6-month relationship requirement. The gavel came down with finality. I'd lost my daughter, my home, and my dignity in less than 30 minutes. As we filed out of the courtroom, Malcolm's attorney handed Chen another document. Divorce papers. Mrs. Elowen has 30 days to respond. I watched Malcolm gather his evidence binders with the same methodical care he brought to insurance investigations. He'd approached the destruction of our marriage like a professional case, and he'd won completely. In the hallway, I tried one last desperate appeal. Malcolm, please. She's my daughter too. He looked at me with complete emotional detachment. She's also the daughter who watched you replace her father with your boyfriend and post the photos online for her classmates' parents to see. Every decision I make now is about protecting her from further harm. I never meant to hurt her. But you did hurt her, Thyra, and you did it deliberately, publicly, and proudly. The court just confirmed what I already knew. Maya is safer with me. He walked away without looking back, leaving me standing in the courthouse hallway with the wreckage of my life scattered around my feet. 3 weeks later, I sat in the supervised visitation room at County Family Services, watching Maya color in a Disney princess book while a social worker documented our interaction. The room was designed to feel welcoming, but the cameras in every corner and the one-way observation window made it feel like a prison. "Mummy, why can't I come home with you?" Maya asked without looking up from her coloring. It was the question I dreaded most. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her mother destroyed their family for Instagram likes, and a man who wouldn't even return her phone calls? "The judge thinks it's better for you to stay with Daddy right now," I said carefully, knowing every word was being recorded. "Did I do something wrong?" "No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. Mommy made some bad choices, and now I have to fix them." Maya looked up at me with Malcolm's serious eyes. "Is it because of the picture man?" Even she understood. My 7-year-old daughter had grasped what I'd refused to see, that bringing Ronan to our family photo shoot was a betrayal that couldn't be undone. "Yes, baby, it's because of the picture man." The social worker made a note. Everything was evidence now. My life had become a series of supervised interactions and legal requirements. Supervised visits with Maya every other weekend. Mandatory co-parenting counseling sessions where Malcolm and I sat in uncomfortable silence while a therapist tried to rebuild communication that I'd destroyed. Individual therapy sessions where I was slowly being forced to confront the narcissistic choices that had cost me everything. The divorce proceedings were moving forward with the same methodical precision Malcolm brought to everything. His attorney had filed for primary custody, spousal support termination, and an unequal division of assets based on my financial misconduct. The $800 I'd spent on Ronan's modeling fee, plus additional funds I'd spent on clothes, dinners, and gifts during our affair. My job at the non-profit had become untenable. The board had initially been supportive, but as details of the custody case became public record, their position changed. A family services organization couldn't employ someone who'd been found by a family court judge to have endangered her own child's emotional well-being. "We're not firing you," my supervisor explained delicately. "We're restructuring your position. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in a role with less public-facing responsibility." It was a polite way of saying I'd become a liability they couldn't afford. Ronan had completely disappeared from my life. After blocking my number, he'd also blocked me on all social media platforms and apparently left town. When Malcolm's attorney tried to subpoena him for the divorce proceedings, they discovered he'd moved to another state without leaving a forwarding address. The man I'd destroyed my marriage for had vanished the moment things got complicated, leaving me to face the consequences alone. The social media posts that had once brought me such validation now felt like evidence of my own stupidity. I'd deleted my accounts entirely, but screenshots lived forever in court documents and gossip threads. The studio footage had been viewed thousands of times in local Facebook groups, making me infamous in our community. I'd become a cautionary tale, the woman who brought her boyfriend to a family photo shoot and lost everything. 6 months after that fatal Saturday at Studio One Photography, I sat in family court for the final divorce hearing. Judge Williams reviewed the custody evaluation, financial disclosures, and parenting plan with the same stern efficiency she'd shown during our emergency hearing. "Mr. Elowen will retain primary custody of the minor child. Mrs. Elowen's visitation will remain supervised for an additional 6 months, pending successful completion of individual therapy and parenting classes. The marital home and primary assets will be awarded to Mr. Elowen as the primary custodial parent. Mrs. Elowen will receive her retirement accounts and personal property. Both parties are permanently enjoined from posting images or information about the minor child on social media platforms. Mrs. Elowen is specifically prohibited from introducing the child to any romantic partners without court approval and a demonstrated relationship stability of minimum 12 months. The gavel came down for the final time. Divorce granted. Malcolm gathered his papers with the same methodical care he'd shown throughout the entire process. He'd approached the end of our marriage like an insurance investigation, documenting every deception, following every financial trail, building an airtight case for why I couldn't be trusted with our daughter's well-being. He'd been right about everything. In the courthouse hallway, I made one final attempt at reconciliation. "Malcolm, I know I can't undo what I did, but is there any chance?" "No." His voice was calm but final. "Thyra, you didn't just cheat on me. You humiliated me publicly, involved our daughter in your affair, and showed complete disregard for anyone's feelings but your own. There's no coming back from that. But Maya needs her mother. Maya needs stability, honesty, and adults who put her needs first. You've proven you're not capable of that." He paused, looking at me with something that might have been pity. "The supervised visits are for her benefit, not yours. Don't mistake court-ordered contact for forgiveness." He walked away, leaving me standing alone in the courthouse corridor where this had all begun. That evening, I sat in my small apartment, the only place I could afford on my reduced income, looking at the framed photo on my nightstand. It was one of the original family photos from our session, before Ronan arrived. Malcolm, Maya, and me, looking like a happy family. It was the only photo I had left of us together. My phone buzzed with a notification from the Family Services app. "Reminder, next supervised visit scheduled for Saturday, 10 a.m. Please arrive 15 minutes early for check-in." I was now a visitor in my own daughter's life, scheduled and supervised like a potential threat. The woman who'd once posted all my family photos with her affair partner was now prohibited from posting any photos of her actual family. The irony was devastating and complete. I'd wanted the perfect shot, the perfect image to show the world how desirable and exciting I was. Instead, I'd created perfect evidence of my own selfishness and destroyed everything that actually mattered. Malcolm had been methodical in his revenge, but it wasn't really revenge, it was justice. He'd simply documented my choices and let the legal system respond accordingly. Every consequence I faced was the direct result of my own actions, captured in high definition and time-stamped for posterity. The studio session that was supposed to be my moment of triumph had become my public downfall. The photos I'd posted to make people envious had instead made them disgusted. The man I'd thought was worth losing everything for had abandoned me the moment things got difficult. I'd gambled my marriage, my daughter, my home, and my reputation on 22 minutes of fantasy, and I'd lost it all. Looking at that last family photo, I finally understood what Malcolm had been trying to tell me in the courthouse. Some choices can't be undone, some trust can't be rebuilt, and some frames, once broken, can never be repaired. The perfect shot had cost me everything, and now I had nothing left but the memory of what I'd thrown away for the validation of strangers and the attention of a man who never really cared. In the end, the camera had captured exactly what I'd asked it to capture, the moment I chose someone else over my family. The only problem was that everyone could see it, including the judge who decided I was no longer fit to be a full-time mother. Malcolm had been right about everything, and I had been wrong about everything, and now Maya was safe from having to watch her mother make any more selfish choices in pursuit of the perfect image. The session was over, the photos had been developed, and the final frame showed exactly what I'd lost and exactly why I deserved to lose it.